Gabe Newell is kind of the patron saint of gaming in a lot of circles, and there's a lot of reasons for it. He's done a lot. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx 10 Gabe Newell facts you probably didn't know. Number 10, in 2017, Gabe Newell cracked the top 100 richest people in the United States. He is also the only gaming-oriented person to be in that list. Now, this list doesn't necessarily mean, anything about your taste in games or how good Steam is. It's more a testament to the idea that Gabe Newell understood exactly where gaming was going and took advantage of it at the exact right time. The Steam model works, and it has benefited him very much. Number 9, Gabe Newell dropped out of Harvard, which somebody is going to be like, how could you waste that kind of education? He was actually convinced by Steve Ballmer, who was the head of sales at Microsoft at the time, and his first job, the first time he was ever employed by anybody, was at the budding Microsoft. In fact, he oversaw the first 3 releases of Windows. I mean, he did pretty well, and there's another fairly famous person who dropped out of Harvard to be in Microsoft. His name is Bill Gates, and there wasn't a Microsoft before he did that. Gabe Newell claims to have learned, actually, most of the things he knows about business from Bill Gates. Number 8, back in 2003, a German hacker stole the source code for Half-Life 2. Obviously, this sent everybody in Valve into a panic. All of this work being put into a piece of, frankly, phenomenal and ground-shaking, revolutionary gaming software that, frankly, is a fundamental of today's modern narrative game. With its innovations, Gabe Newell was like, I've got this, hold on. He told the German hacker, listen, I want to hire you as a quote-unquote in-house security auditor. The hacker was like, sure, let's do that. So Valve set up an interview with him, and Gabe Newell actually even got him plane tickets, but also passed his resume along to the feds. You see, Gabe is a snitch. The hacker didn't take the bait. He did get charged in Germany, but only got probation. Guy's smart, I would have fallen for that. Number 7, back in 2011, Valve announced Steam Guard, a brand new service that provided increased account security. Now, a lot of the time, these types of things are announced. We've actually seen a ton of it lately since the EU passed a new privacy law, and everybody's like, yeah, we're tightening up our security. Please read these terms again and do something with your password or something. Gabe said that since account phishing and hijacking are the #1 support issues, it made sense to take a big step in account security, and he was so confident in what they had come up with, he published his Steam password and account name and said, try to log in. To my knowledge, no one did. But if you're interested, his username is gaben@valvesoftware.com, and his password was, at least in 2011, MooleyFTW. Number 6, Gabe Newell's favorite games are Mario 64, Doom, and a Star Trek punch card game that he said is hard to call a video game because I was playing it on punch cards. My brother and I would type out a move on a punch card machine, grab our deck, put it into the punch card reader, and then wait for our line printer output. Each move took about 10 minutes. I was hooked. Number 5, Gabe Newell at one point had a disease called Fuchs dystrophy. I'm not 100% sure how to say it, and I tend to use my F-bombs in a very calculated manner, so I'm gonna assume that it's Fuchs. Back in the early 2000s, he described his eyes as dead people eyes and that he was actually going blind. He had double cornea transplants in 2006 and 2007, and it actually ended up making it so that he would be able to see better than he ever had in his entire life. Which it's amazing the kind of technology that goes into human healing now. Number 4, during an interview with Geek a Week, Gabe Newell confirmed that he, in fact, likes My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And, as you might suspect, the bronies, oh, you know who they are, the male fandom of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, lost their damn minds. It wasn't even a question of, do you watch My Little Pony? The interviewer literally asked Gabe,
but is there anything you secretly geek out about?
I watch My Little Pony.
You're a brony.
Yep.
Oh my god.
There's some speculation that makes him the richest brony of all bronies. And when I say they lost their minds, that's in no way an understatement. The My Little Pony themed sites all over the internet just lit up with headlines like Gabe Newell joins the herd. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this. It's a nice show. There's no reason adults can't like it. Just, don't ruin it for other people. That's kind of the main thing. Number 3, remember how Doom is one of Gabe Newell's favorite 3 games? Well, Bill Gates briefly tried to buy id Software in the 1990s after the success of Doom. Id was really invested in the business model they'd come up with. It was different and frankly fairly cool, the shareware model, and didn't really want to be burdened by the Microsoft corporate environment. Now, since that didn't happen, Bill Gates settled on a deal with id Software to port Doom to Windows 95. Now, at the time, Gabe Newell was working at Microsoft, and he headed the team that did that port, possibly explaining at least part of the reason he's so fond of Doom. Number 2, Gabe Newell worked for 13 years at Microsoft and became one of the fabled Microsoft millionaires, meaning he made over $1 million at Microsoft. At this point, Microsoft has 124,000 employees around the world. Gabe Newell is the 271st employee at Microsoft. I mean, that's a pretty prestigious position and a pretty successful career to want to leave and start a video game company that there is no way in hell he had any idea would go the way it did, making him one of the richest people in one of the richest countries. But even just what he accomplished as the producer of the first 3 Microsoft Windows releases is still pretty impressive. And finally, number 1, Gabe Newell is fairly generous. A gentleman by the name of Eric Wolpaw, who wrote on Portal, Portal 2, and then later on various Double Fine games such as Psychonauts, a person who is by all accounts quite talented, in 2004 was diagnosed with a disease called ulcerative colitis. UC is a long-term condition that can really make things suck for the person who's dealing with it, causing everything from abdominal pain and diarrhea to fever and anemia. Often people with UC experience severe weight loss and frankly become very weak and sick. It requires management, and people have to spend time getting better. It takes time finding a means to manage this disease, and Gabe Newell changed Eric Wolpaw's job description at Valve specifically to getting better. He was given extended paid leave so that his life wouldn't be interrupted, and that as a talented person who had a lot of use for Valve and indeed for anybody who would eventually employ him, as well as simply being a human being who deserves to be cared about, he was given by every means probably the best chance at getting better. Now, Wolpaw went on to do a lot of very good work and is currently working on Psychonauts 2, but frankly, it shouldn't depend on his talent. People who are in charge of employees should all be more like Gabe Newell was in this situation. Gabe Newell sure does lead an interesting life, doesn't he? If you thought any of this stuff was particularly interesting, leave us a comment. Or you know something about Gabe Newell that you think everybody else would be interested in, leave us a comment. If you like this video, click the button, and if you're not subscribed now, it'd of course be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is of course a subscription. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.